Maggie from Back to the Land Living, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys some outdoor cooking recipes that we really enjoy making, and especially in the winter months it's fun to go out into the woods and make a campfire and cook some food over it. So we're going to be sharing some different ideas with you guys, some snack ideas, lunch ideas, supper ideas, even some breakfast ideas, and so we'll be sharing them over a few days because we're going to be making them and then eating them as our meals. I'll link all the recipes down in the description box below if you want to check them out. I'll leave a link to over on my blog where I have them in the written format. So I hope you enjoyed these recipes and they inspire you to get outdoors and do a little cooking over a campfire. The first recipe I'm going to be sharing is one of my favorites, and I hope you like it too. So today we're going to be doing campfire style pogos. We're going to be making sausages, and we're also going to be making bannock, and we're going to be putting the sausage in the bannock so it's kind of like a pogo. So we're going to get our fire ready to start cooking and going to start making our lunch. This is Rocco. He's an old man. This is Ruby. She's a puppy. And so they're not going to move out of the cameras. And so they're down here with us, and they smell the sausage, so they've moved in on us. Anyways, we moved our sausage down closer to the fire because it wasn't cooking enough up high like that. And now we're going to get our bannock going, and Eric's just keeping the fire fed. So I mixed up this bannock already up in our house, and we just brought it all mixed up. But if you wanted to, you could mix this up in just the dry ingredients and then add the water to it once you get down in the woods. But I'm going to wrap it just around a stick. So we chose a stick that is like pretty thick. And so for this stick, I took the bark off it because it was kind of rough. The other one's pretty smooth bark, so I left it on. And so you want your stick to be about the same size as your sausage is around, because our goal, we're going to try to put the bannock around the sausage like a bun. So I brought a bit of butter to grease the stick with so that it'll come off easier. It's kind of frozen now since it's cold out, so we'll see if this works, but I think I'm actually going to warm the stick up first. I'm going to rub some butter on it so that the bannock will come off easier. So the key with bannock to get to cook and not be like a raw lump of dough is to put it on pretty thin. If you put it on too thick, then it's not going to cook very well. And so I'm going to roll it out into a long snake, and then I'm going to stretch it and wrap it around my stick. If you hold it too close to the fire, then it will cook too soon, and then the inside will be raw. And if you hold it too far away, it'll be just not cooked. So they say the best is to put your hand up to the fire, and if you can hold it there for 10 seconds and not burn yourself, then it's a good spot to put it. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap it, and I'm just going to pull it as I wrap it and get it pretty thin. So as we cook our bannock, we have it kind of set up so they're holding themselves, and we're going to keep rotating it as it cooks. And you know it's cooked when if you try to pull on it and it'll come off of the stick, it should be done. Or when it looks nice and golden brown. Don't you even think about it. Off really nice. Okay, so that mine looked really good. So mine fits in really nicely, like a little pogo in a bun. It's a bit longer, but it works. There. I think it's super good. Mine definitely was more successful than Eric's because my stick was a bit thicker. So make sure the stick you choose is big as your sausage. And these sausage are homemade sausages from our pigs this year, so It's homemade bannock over a campfire with homemade sausage, so it's kind of a very satisfying campfire meal. So we're going to finish up our lunch down here, and we'll see you with the next recipe. So this morning we're out here at our bonfire pit, and we're going to be making breakfast over the fire, and we're going to be doing some omelets. So this is just where we usually do bonfires in the summertime, but it's a good place to put our grill for cooking on our frying pan. So I'm going to get started. It's a very, very simple omelet. All it is eggs that we have from our hens, and then salsa. So this is something I like to make also just in our kitchen on a regular morning, but it's also good for over a fire because it doesn't involve many ingredients. So all we're putting in it is our eggs. I have 5 eggs, but our eggs are really tiny, so however many eggs you want. Then I have some salsa that we made this summer, and I like that because it has peppers, it has onions, it has tomatoes, it has a lot of ingredients that I actually would usually put in an omelet, but it's already mixed up for me. So I just put this inside, and then I don't have to add any more ingredients, except for some cheese that I also have. So we're going to put our frying pan on, put some butter in to get it warming up, then we're going to add our eggs and our salsa and let it cook. So we want the pan to be pretty hot, but not like too hot, so I'm just going to move it over this way where my fire is smaller. So I beat my eggs up already in my mason jar, and I added a little salt and pepper to it, and I'm just going to pour this right in. Such a bright yellow color because our chickens are pretty young, so they have a really nice yolk. So we're going to let that cook. And once the sides start to become cooked, I'm going to add in my salsa. So now it's cooked around the edges. I'm going to add some of my salsa in. So I know this is probably not the proper way to make an omelet, but it works good for me. There we go. We're gonna let it keep cooking. Okay, so now it's cooked a little bit more with the sauce in there, and now I'm gonna add my cheese. Oh, there's someone coming to get some cheese. Rocco, you want some? You need some. Oh, yummy snack. Here you go, buddy. There we go. So now that it is pretty well cooked, the top is a little bit wet still, but almost done. I'm gonna fold it in half, or I'm gonna attempt to fold it in half. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes I fail at folding in half, and then it just becomes like a scrambled situation, but it still tastes the same. So do the best you can. I think I need my mitt. Hold on to it. See how I do. Hey, not too bad. Starting to leak a little bit, but pretty good. Good enough to eat. So we're gonna let it cook for a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna serve it up and have ourselves some breakfast. Nice to get really good. Okay, here you go. Train me. Put it in your tongue, buddy. See how it tastes? I think it's gonna be really hot at first, but
it'll cool down fast. It's good.
Good? Oh, hot. There we go. Very good. See, this is a really nice, quick recipe. That only took us about 10 minutes to make this, where some of the other recipes over fire can take a little bit longer. Really yummy, great way to have a little breakfast outside if you're camping or just want to make a little bit of food. You want a little bit, buddy? Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna give him this a little bit here. One little bit, bud. Sweet. Let it cool down, buddy. There, there's for you. Here, I'll go. You do that. I actually like this.
It's good.
I was hungry. So today I'm out here at my camp with my husband Eric and my sister Leah and my dad Joel, and we're out here. We came out for the weekend and we thought we'd do a few outdoor cooking recipes. And today for lunch we're going to be making some bannock pizza. And so this bannock recipe is the same recipe we use for the pogos, and also I'm going to be using it again later for a sweet treat. So campfire pizza is pretty basic. All you're going to need is a pan, like a cast iron pan, or something you can put in the fire. So it could be a Dutch oven or something that can be in the fire. So we're just using a cast iron frying pan, and we're going to be putting it on a bed of coals. So this fire is a little bit big, so we're going to be moving some of the coals out and just getting a nice bed, because if it's too hot, it's just going to burn the bannock, which is like the crust of the pizza. And so you want it to be a nice coal bed to put your frying pan on, and we're just going to be putting the bannock in. And then once the bannock cooks on one side, we're going to be flipping it and then cooking it a little more on the other side, putting the toppings on, and we'll have ourselves a little campfire pizza. So now that we have the frying pan in the fire, we're going to be adding our bannock. So the bannock is just the same recipe as I used before, and so I have it all made up beforehand. And actually it's been frozen because it's so cold that it actually froze on the way over here. But I'm just going to make it out into a nice thin disc the size of my pan. I might need to take my frying pan back out of the fire, push it down in it, and then put it back on. And so I'm just going to get this ready, and then I'm going to cook it until the underside starts to look a little brown, and then flip it back over to cook the other side of it. And that's when we'll put the toppings on. Pizza crust?
Yeah.
Okay, now we wait. Okay, so now that it's kind of a golden color, I'm going to flip it over. An important step that I forgot to mention earlier is to grease your pan. Honestly, I didn't do that this time. I've always done it in the past. Don't know why I didn't do it this time. But it just makes the process a whole lot easier if you grease your pan before you put in your bread. But now I'm going to just flip it over. So because I didn't grease it, I kind of had to get it up a little, took a little more effort. And so I got a little hole, but whatever. It's a campfire. And if you do grease it, it does work a lot better, because I've done it in the past. So now I'm going to give it a flip. So now that we've just flipped this over, it's time to add our toppings. So we're going to add some pizza sauce. This is homemade, so it is thin, but we're just going to add a bit. And also we're going to be adding some cheese, pepperoni, peppers, onions, whatever you want for your pizza, you can add it on. And we're just going to be letting this cook. Pretty much this is just warming and melting. If I had a cover to my frying pan, or if it was a Dutch oven, it would be good, because I could have put that on earlier when the bread was baking, and it just sped up the process, because it kind of like steams the bread. And then also I could put it on to melt the cheese after. But now I'm going to add my toppings, and then we're going to, once it melts, we're going to have ourselves a nice pizza. I'm just leaving 1/4 without toppings like this because my little sister doesn't like anything except for cheese and pepperoni. Okay, now the cheese is not grated because we realized we don't have a cheese grater out here at our camp, so it's just cut up. So we're going to leave this over the coals until the cheese starts to melt, and that will be the whole pizza. So for this next recipe, it is one of my favorites. It's a nice little sweet treat to have over the campfire. It is called bannock bites. It's what I call them anyways. And it's made out of the same bannock recipe I use for the pizza and also for the pogos. So it's really easy. I actually just kept this left over from the pizza recipe. So if you make the full recipe that I have on my blog, about half that is the amount you need for your pizza, and the other half I'm using for making bannock bites. I actually already made some of these with the leftover bannock at our camp on the wood stove, but I saved a little bit to make over the fire out here at our bonfire pit. So it's a really easy recipe. All I'm going to do is have my frying pan here on the fire heating up, and I'm going to put some butter in it, a decent bit of butter, not too much, but enough to coat the bottom and have a little bit extra. Then I'm going to put in little bits of bannock and kind of smush them down pretty flat, and they'll puff up. And then once they're golden on one side, I'm going to flip them over and let them get golden on the other side. and then take them out and toss them in some cinnamon and sugar, and they are delicious. They taste kind of like a beaver tail, I think. I don't know if you're Canadian, if you've heard of the dessert beaver tail. It's like a fried dough with cinnamon and sugar, but if you have, comment down below and let me know if you're not from Canada, if you've heard of this dessert and if you have it. So it's really delicious. So let's get to making our bannock bites. Whew, it's hot. I think we got the fire a little too hot. I'm just gonna pull it back. I think I'm gonna let this fire die down a little bit just because we got the flames a little too high. We don't want it too hot. We want it sizzling but not browning too much. So to this we're gonna add a decent bit of butter. That's probably good. It's a little bit like a deep fried donut, but you don't need too much butter for it. It's like a shallow fry. So I have my butter now in the pan, and I'm gonna add my bannock. I'm just gonna rip off a little bit. You can make them whatever sizes you want. The smaller you make them, the quicker they cook. But I'm just squishing it down pretty flat, so like a quarter of an inch or less. So it's like a little tiny disc like this, and I'm just gonna pop it right in the butter. So I'm just going to be kind of keep pushing them around, checking, and then when they're brown on the bottom, so like this one is brown on the bottom, I'm gonna flip it. So those are a little bit dark. Sometimes it's hard to regulate the heat on an open fire like this, but just keep checking them and flip them once they're golden. So now that these are done on both sides, I'm gonna take them out and toss them in some cinnamon and some sugar. So I just mix cinnamon and sugar beforehand at just like equal parts. I'm gonna bring this over to the edge so it stops cooking. And I'm just gonna take one and toss it in. Toss around the cinnamon and sugar. And then it's done and ready to be eaten. So I usually do a little batches of these, take them out, toss them, and then wait them. So if you do one and you notice that it's doughy on the inside, it just means that you cooked it on too hot of a fire. So just let your fire die down a bit or move your pan out of the way and just cook them a little bit slower the next batch. But they're super easy to make. They take like 2 or 3 minutes to fry up and they are delicious. Want to try it out?
Sure. Yummy.
So that is it for our campfire cooking recipes. I hope you've enjoyed these ideas and get a chance to try some of them yourself. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, I'd love to have you subscribe and follow us along. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.